to go?
Yeah,
it's
rolling.
4, right?
Yeah, it's 4 p.m.
Alright, ready?
I should tell people about this.
You can retweet it. You want to retweet it, and then you can share it from the
Share and retweet and share and retweet. We tweet.
Alright, we're live, yeah.
Welcome.
Hey everybody, I'm Libby with NSAI. This is the last coffee break of the year, and I'm with none other than singer-songwriter artist Dave Barnes. Songwriter artist Warner Chappell, music songwriter Jordan Reynolds. Welcome.
Hola.
And today we're going to be talking about all things songwriting, Christmas, artists, music. You just finished a show last night, the Skirmahorn. Is that you?
You know, you went strong with that, so I wasn't going to push back. That was you hit the C hard on that, which most people do until someone that works there corrects you.
I practiced before.
It's a soft C. It's a Schermerhorn.
Yeah.
Which I pulled in 3rd grade playing basketball. But yeah, no, we did. It was really fun. We played. Had a really fun guest. I don't even know if I told you the guests. The guests were Matt Marr, CCM artist, who's awesome. He did a really cool version of Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And then Scott Mulvihill, you know Scott?
Yes.
Bass player for Ricky Skaggs, and also an artist. He played a song of his own, which honestly brought the house down. It was incredible.
Just
he and
Kelsey.
bass. And then Kelsey, Valerie. It was fun. It was really fun. Really, really fun.
What's your favorite Christmas song to play?
Oh, in Post Monroe. Have you heard
Oh,
of it?
yes, I have, yeah. One of them is that shop in East Nashville.
Yes.
Kitty.
Kitty.
Yeah, really great.
Yeah,
for sure.
super cool. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. Favorite Christmas song to perform?
You know, somebody actually asked me that yesterday. I love to sing, and I'm not like a singer. Like Jordan is one of the best singers I know. I don't really think of myself like a singer.
Yeah.
But I love to sing "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas."
Yeah.
It's hard to sing because it's got so many weird, jazz situations, but it's really fun to sing. And when we recorded it, we kind of found the right key, because those songs are tricky, because it's like, if you don't know, you can come in and feel like, oh, this feels good, and then you're like, oh, this either goes way high or low.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually get to where you're kind of like, so,
Which is sometimes your sweet spot.
That's when I'm most potent as a singer. But, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, the band killed that tune, so I always look forward to that sort of moment in the night, because it's always like fun to sing that.
Yeah, for sure. And you both performed together. You performed at Tin Pan
We did.
last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did a round last week together.
Yeah, we did.
I feel like we've done a lot. We've done a few rounds.
We've done a couple.
A lot.
rounds, yeah.
A couple. That's fair. You down.
Felt like a lot, but it was just a
Downgraded
couple.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you meet each other?
What a great question.
That is a great question.
Well, so I grew up listening to Dave.
As did I. Stop.
We all did.
And so, kind of long story short, I had met a guy through my church in Hendersonville who knew Dave, who kind of had gone to high school with Dave. And, either way, I had actually told him one day, I was like, man, I don't even know if you've heard of this guy, but you remind me of this guy, Dave Barnes. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, Dave is one of my best friends. Like, you've got to be joking. So I thought that he would introduce us. Of course, he didn't.
He tried.
But
I
Dave was way too big
shut that
time.
down.
Yeah.
shut that down.
So I think it was a couple years later. We were I was playing for an artist in town named Lucy Silvis.
Okay,
and,
yeah. Love her.
He was backstage, and I was like, you know what? This has gone on long enough. I'm gonna go and do the awkward Nashville. I'm gonna go up and introduce myself. So we met, and we ended up writing like a couple weeks later.
Yeah, not long at all.
Yeah.
And then it was so funny. It was a good lesson for me, honestly, because I remember Jason. I actually remember very specifically the email from Jason, our mutual friend, reaching out. It was I think you might have still been at Belmont. I mean, this was like,
I think I was.
It was a hot minute ago, but he just said, "Hey man, I know this is always, you probably get a million of these, but there's a guy at the church that sings here, and he's awesome, and he's a huge fan. I'd love to connect y'all." And this was still when I was touring pretty heavily, and I hate to say it wasn't I was too cool, but I was just like, man, I just don't know.
You had a lot on your
Too
plate.
much going on.
Thank you for that, both of you guys.
I don't know why I'm justifying it.
Yeah, no, you're defending me against you. But I remember just being like, man, and oddly enough, he attached the video of y'all doing one of my songs at Long Haul. I don't even know which song it would have been.
I don't either. Maybe I Pray on Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, obviously impressed because Jordan's such a great singer. But I just was like, whatever. And it's been funny now that we're such good buds because I'm like, man, I feel like such a jerk because he's so freakishly talented. I could have ruined his career earlier than I'm able to now, sadly. So, no, but it was kind of a lesson in like, those, it's reminded me I need to be a little more accessible for those things, which I am now because I'm not as busy as I was back then, but I'm home more these days. But yeah, so that's how we met.
Cool. So songwriting session, what does that usually go like for y'all? Where does the inspiration come from?
Right there.
That's what you saw. And you can't really say that. You can only feel it, which I know we all did in the room.
I'm sure you felt it as well.
We write a lot together, which is so much fun. And so ours, it's funny because you really do kind of fall into grooves.
Right.
Jordan is such a great producer and player that he's got a really great spot in East Nashville at his house where we write most of the time. And he's so great at that sadly or for good, he ends up, kind of getting something started or some little idea brewing and then, a loop or something and then, we're kind of off to the races from there. Although it's funny, we were talking to a friend about this the other day. One of my favorite songs, and I think Jordan's too, that we've written, just the both of us, was a song we wrote after we had written, we had been another co-write and we were at Warner, and I don't even remember why we were at Warner, but we were at Warner writing, and the band had left we were writing with, and there was a Rhodes that was there, and Jordan, we were just kind of, catching up because we had ended a little early, and he started playing something, and I was like, gosh, that's cool, what is that? And we ended up writing pretty much most of it that day. We finished it later, but it was fun just to kind of be without all of the accoutrement, if you will. Yeah, and back to just sitting at an instrument and writing, which I feel like these days is pretty uncommon just because Pro Tools and Logic, which I love, are such a big deal that I feel like most time I'm not sitting with just instruments, which we've tried to do a lot more, not just for Jordan's sake, but I think sometimes for the song's sake, because you can get so lost sometimes in the stuff.
I feel like Dave and I too, there's a lot of different ways to approach songwriting, but one thing that I think we've kind of connected on is instead of starting with a title a lot of times, we'll just start with grooving on something or a chord progression or a melody or something. And a lot of times a title will fall out of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of our sweet spot is just letting it kind of come in the room and like not have it be forced or even bring a title from the get-go.
There's a really great podcast that I listen to for you guys who enjoy the podcast thing called Soda Jerker, and it's two Liverpudlians.
How do you spell the title of the podcast?
SODAJERKER.
Okay,
I
so
have
it's
no
like
clue what it means.
Is that an English saying?
It's gotta be, because I was like, I thought it was about
really
Coca-Cola.
inappropriate.
Yeah, whatever. But the guys, it's two guys from Liverpool, and they just interview songwriters, and one of the best ones, kind of to Jordan's point, one of the best ones I heard, they interviewed Beth Nielsen Chapman.
Oh.
And man, it's probably one of the longest ones they did because they just let her go, as you should. She teaches workshops. She's got so many great thoughts. But one of the things she really, really, really pushes it. I remember listening to it probably 6 months ago, and it really affecting how I think about songwriting. She was like, I just feel like too many people get in the room and they want to know where everything's going before you even start. And so she's a real proponent for that, of just get in there, see what's happening, and some word will pop up, some phrase, some melody, and all of a sudden, you kind of, and sadly I can be very first child about writing sometimes, where I feel like I have to know where it's going before we start so I can really get my head around it. And I think, like Jordan said, it's been good for me to kind of like, no, let's just get in there and sort of get the feel and go from there and see where it lands, Yeah.
Do you take breaks during writing, or do you just go straight through?
Probably depends on each day and who you're writing with, and honestly, if you got to eat before the write or not. I think there is a benefit to taking a break.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have the time to, but I think even a 10 or 15 minute let's get away from the song, because sometimes if you're so close to a song, you can, two things, you can either think the song is cooler than it is, or you might not see how cool it is because you're so close to it.
Yeah, that's great.
And so you can come back to it and listen to it as if you did not write it and not know exactly where it's going and be able to edit a little better. I think that's an important thing to do.
And as far as co-writing goes, what kind of advice do you have for those that are not just looking for a co-writer, but like when they're in a session, when to recognize like whether something works, whether it doesn't, what's their role in that specific songwriting meeting, I guess, co-write?
That was for the coffee and the question.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely.
Whew. I mean, I think one of the best personality traits that a writer can have is being attentive to what's happening in the room.
Right.
And being a chameleon. I think people say that a lot, but like, know what your role is that day. And if you some days are leading the right, or you're kind of driving the right, that might be one day. The next day you might be the person who is sitting back editing. Okay. And so I think it's really important to just be attentive and just listen to what's happening in the room, and don't try to force yourself on the right. Sometimes you want to prove to other people that you're like a good singer or that you're a good writer, and that's not the point of a writing session. It's to get a great song, and if it's happening, don't force it.
Yeah.
We were talking about Kelsey a minute ago, and Jordan and I are good buds with her, and we've written with her a good bit.
Yeah.
Kelsey's a great example of that, because Jordan and I both, I write, most of my artist stuff I write by myself, and so I'm kind of used to steamrolling,
Right.
And she's so fun to write with, because that's the opposite of what I do in that room. I mean, she's such a great writer, and she's got such a clear vision. I mean, I've probably written with her 5 or 6 times now, and every time it's just, you just get out of the way.
Right.
I mean, she knows exactly what she's doing. Mm-hmm. Every now and then, she'll kind of go, "What about this?" But genuinely, she's just really good at what she does, and so you really don't end up, you can help and shape and mold musically, kind of add, but she really knows what she's doing. And so it's really fun writing with Kels, because it's like, you just sort of are, I mean, we laughed about that the other day. We wrote with her a couple days ago, and literally you're just like, yeah, oh, whoa, that's, yes.
Where did that come from? Yeah.
So, it is a good lesson. It's a discipline, and sort of like learning, for me especially, because I think, I'm so used to doing what I do, that those days, it's a really interesting thing to have to learn how to Jordan's point of reading the room. The worst thing I can do is try to, which I've done that before, I think when I was beginning to co-write, I didn't know how to do that. And so those days I could sabotage sometimes, because I thought, well, I got this thing too, and I didn't realize, like, hey, in fact, one of the best lessons I ever learned, I'll never forget this, I wrote with Luke Laird and this artist really early into my co-writing. This was probably even a decade ago, honestly. And Luke and I were sitting with this artist, and we wrote this song, and we got done, and I called him afterward, just kind of say, hey man, thanks for letting me do that. It's one of the first times I've ever done it. And I'll never forget, because we went to MTSU together, and he's been a dear friend of mine forever. And he said, I said, what, how'd it go? How'd you feel about it? Anything I should be thinking about? He's like, man, I did have a thought. He's like, it's great that you are a singer and a great singer, but, the thing you got to watch in that is that if you keep singing it, they're not going to want to sing it. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even thinking about that. I mean, I was oblivious to it. So I remember that day I started thinking back, and I was like, oh my gosh. The whole day I'd be like, oh, that's cool, yeah. And then I'd sing it. And without realizing it, I'd sort of like taken the song away from this moment and going, let's hear how it's singing. Good. Yeah, it sounds good when you sing it, and you can own it, and they feel like, yeah, I have some ownership. And so it's a really good lesson for me, because I was kind of like, okay. So you have these moments where if you're not careful, you can misread a room.
Totally.
And I was going to add too, I think a really important part of the co-writer thing too is, and it's taken me a while to realize this, and it sounds really obvious, and I'm not, I'm kind of an idiot, so it takes me a while to learn things. But I think it's so great if you can find people you're inspired by. I mean, that sounds really dumb, but and I think the reason I say that is because sometimes people you think you will be, you aren't, or you get in the room and you realize, oh, this doesn't work like I thought it would, and I love a bunch of their songs, but for some reason there's just the magic is missing. And then the opposite, where sometimes somebody you don't know, I mean, that's how I felt with Jordan. Like, I had never met Jordan, and he was a new writer, a year and a half ago, and yet the first time we got in the room, I was like, oh man, this is awesome, and so it's just, but it adds so much to the day when I'm excited looking at my calendar going, yes, today I'm writing with Jordan, I'm already excited about it, and you carry that energy in, usually that helps so much, So I do think it's a big deal to it's like my publisher has said, and I've heard so many publishers say, their goal is for publisher every day that you look at your writer looks at his calendar, he's excited about the day.
Or terrified.
Or scared out of his mind.
Yeah, and honestly, and there is something to writing with people who are better than you.
Yeah.
That
keeps you on your toes.
For sure.
100%, and you're learning things, and it's just, that's a good thing to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And like shopping for a pub deal, what's any kind of tips on that process and figuring out where you feel fit, I guess?
I'll say this. I write over at BMG, and Daniel Lee is my plugger there. And Daniel and I have I really, really love working with Daniel because I feel like he really understands me and what I do. And it's been such a changing thing. I've been there for 3 years. And I mean, literally every year we are changing things about every 3 months. Like, I'm learning something new, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to write more. I want to write less. I want to write twice a week, 5 times a week. And we've changed a lot of stuff. And I think a big thing that I've learned in being at BMG, and thankfully Daniel's so adaptable and malleable that we've been able to change while in there instead of me going, okay, I need to do this next time because I didn't do it right this time. But it's been cool to kind of see how much, like, he gets what I do, so that when I go, that right wasn't what I wanted, he'll go, oh, you know what, that makes sense, because And so now it's fun because I've been there so long that, he's pretty much spot on. Even in times when I don't know who somebody is, I'll do the day with him and go, because he knows how my brain works, who I like, what I don't like, kind of what matches work. Because it is funny, like, you really can be wrong about that. You can really love an artist, love a writer, love someone's music or whatever, and get with them and it not work. And so, having your publisher and you kind of get in sync on, like, figuring out, oh man, I've noticed every time, we book Jordan, these days tend to work and then these ones don't. Oh, you know what, there's a consistency here. And then they can do a good job of sort of helping you put those days together so they're more successful than not, I've found that to be a big deal.
So, as far as getting a publishing deal, it was probably really easy for Dave because he had a lot going on. It wasn't as easy for me. So, I mean, if I had to give any tips on that, which is, I mean, every writer is different, so there's no just like, do this and you'll get a publishing deal.
Right, there's no,
There's no easy way to do it. There's no fast way to do it. It takes time. I have a rep at ASCAP named Beth Brinker, and she's amazing. And she wasn't actually at ASCAP back before I had signed my publishing deal, but I met with a girl there, and she basically said, hey, I'm going to help you as much as I can, and set me up some co-writes, and all it did was, didn't give me a publishing deal right away, but it set me off in the right direction of writing with people. And as far as like taking meetings with publishers, make sure you have songs that are consistent, and have like at least 5 to 10 songs that you feel really great about.
Okay.
The goal is a year from now, those 5 to 10 songs you're kind of embarrassed about, but that just means you're growing. But have those songs and just meet people. Go out and meet publishers and be consistent and be a nice human, because publishers, honestly, if they had a choice between 2 writers, the more low drama,
the better.
The better. Because they've got enough stuff they have to deal with. They don't want to deal with 10:30 every morning, you calling and saying, you know what, actually, I don't think I can be there today, or I'm going to be an hour late. It's just more things to deal with. So it's like, be low drama, be a good person, and be nice and kind, and be thoughtful, and just be consistent and have songs and write as much as you can, because you'll just keep getting better, hopefully.
Shifting gears to writing for different genres. When you wrote God Gave Me You, did you expect that to go in the country direction?
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. I think if I had, it wouldn't be what it is. I laugh. We did this round with Jonathan Singleton a couple of weeks ago, Jordan and I. Jonathan is one of my favorite humans in the world. I love that dude. And he's a really good bud. And he will intermittently, I'll get texts from him, and the only word in the text will be tethered. Because literally about every third time I hang out with him, he's like, I still don't know how you got a country hit with the word tethered in it. Like, how did you pull that
bridge, right?
Yeah.
What love has tethered.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I mean though. Like, there's so many lyrics in that song that are so weird. I love them, but they're weird. So I think if I knew that, I would have thought, no, we need to dumb it down.
Yeah.
So there was no thought of that at all.
Mm-hmm. You've written for Parachute as well, so like several other artists that are not country or country. What's kind of some tips on when you're in the room writing for country versus pop?
Yeah. Those situations, I've always had the most success writing with artists, and that's so fun and so much easier because, again, it's like Kelsey, like with Will from Parachute. Will, that was such a fun day because Will came to me and we'd known each other forever, and he's listened to my music, for forever since he was in college. So he literally sat down and was like, I need a Dave Barnes ballad. And I was like, well, I can definitely supply that today. And so that kind of felt like cheating because he really did. He was like, I would love kind of what you do. He had this really cool piano thing. And so that was super easy because, he was just kind of basically going, let's just kind of do the thing. So those are fun. I think a lot of times, especially when you get into different genres, it's just so much easier and more fun when you're sort of sitting with somebody that is the artist that you can sort of be there to sort of help, as opposed to sort of going, I'm gonna write like an R&B song today, or I'm gonna, and that's what's so funny about genres too. You think about, especially back in the '70s, like with what's his name that wrote Midnight Train to Georgia, Jim Weatherly, is that right? I think that's right. But let's say that's right.
Yes.
Jim is this white guy that went to Ole Miss and played football, who wrote that, I think, by himself. And so you just go, I guarantee you when he wrote that didn't sound like that. I mean, it probably may have sounded something like it. But it's just so cool because you get these moments where good songs just translate. They do. You can put a different beat behind it, different orchestration. All of a sudden that thing can sound like the coolest, hippest R&B thing ever. You change the band up and the singer and it sounds like a country song. I mean, you look at I Swear, which was like the pop hit for All for One, or it was back in the day, and then Colin Ray,
right?
And so you just kind of have these songs that. So I think that's another thing you have to be careful of sometimes, is sort of doing that thing where you sort of think too much about genres and you forget that a lot of times just great songs work. They kind of work whatever's the situation or whatever.
On the flip side of that,
that's not true.
That's not true at all.
Yeah. So
actually, can we delete that last section? He didn't mean anything.
Edit it out.
No, something that we've talked about, and specifically, I don't think pop writers have it, like primarily pop writers have as much issue with this as maybe country writers who try to write pop do, if that makes any sense. So I think something we talk about, that there's a no man's land here in Nashville, that we can write these things that have like cool phrasing and cool things that really aren't pop enough to be a pop song, but they're not quite country enough to be a country song. And so there's this no man's land for these songs that just won't get cut by anybody.
Misfits.
Yeah, misfits. I mean,
literally like a misfit. They don't fit anywhere.
And the problem is they'll be cool sounding. All that to say, I just think that I got to judge this Belmont Writers Night thing the other night for ASCAP, and I feel like the thing I kept coming back to was when you're writing a song, think about it doesn't have to be the forefront, but before you really dig in lyrically and even melodically, make sure you know who you're kind of shooting for. If it's country, let's stay in this world. Now, you want to push the boundaries a little bit, but make sure it's not landing in that no man's land of like, this is cool sounding, but it's not really pop. Like if we send this to LA, would they say it sounds like a country song? That's not a good thing.
So knowing the voice that they're looking for.
Know where it's gonna land. If you're
Okay.
gonna go pop, go all the way pop. If you're gonna go country, go all the way country. And within those worlds, push the boundaries a little bit, but don't end up somewhere in the middle where these songs just kind of float around. And
Yeah, that's we had that conversation probably 6 months ago because I noticed that we were starting to do that. Like we were writing these songs we loved. They were kind of these like Bieberish kind of really cool pop songs that were really great.
It's kind of like it would be like a really bad Sam Hunt song.
Yeah.
Like that he would never cut.
Yeah.
But we're trying to write it for him. You know?
And then you kind of get done and you go, and finally after a couple of them we sat down and I was like, hey, I think we're kind of starting to do this. Jordan's like, oh my gosh. And so we kind of had to realize, because Nashville's a funny world, because Nashville is a lyric town. And what I mean by that is this. You're literally writing, if you're writing for Christian, it is a lyric genre. You can have a heavy metal Christian song and you can have a rock and roll Christian song and a praise and worship Christian song, but the thing that makes them Christian is lyric. I mean, you can literally have any kind of music and it'd be a Christian song because of lyric. Country is kind of the same way now.
Okay.
I mean, if you listen to Sam Hunt, and man, even some kind of newer Keith Urban stuff, it's not really country, but it is because of what it's talking about.
Okay.
And so I think country more than ever is starting to become really known just because it's lyrically country. And I think, to Jordan's point, if you're not careful, you can sort of go, no, these guys will cut this stuff because I know this Sam Hunt stuff, or I know these guys who sort of sit on the edges of country. We can land it there.
Thomas Rhett.
Thomas goes.
Yeah.
But then you realize, like, no, they really wouldn't cut that because you're not talking about anything that genre really celebrates or embraces as a song idea.
Yeah.
or
And country
something
fans
like that.
specifically are so dedicated, so it's like you have to kind of defeat that.
You do. So you have to be careful. Jordan makes a great point. I mean, that is something I think in writing I'm having to learn a lot is like you sort of have to keep that in mind. Because you do have those songs that God gave you that'll get cut that don't make sense, maybe lyrically, quote unquote.
Right.
But, and those will happen, but those are definitely anomalies compared to when you're really professionally trying to write for something all the time. You got to be a little more mindful of like what works in those worlds,
Yeah, completely agree. What was I gonna ask?
Killer
What's
Joe.
a song that you wish you would have written?
Oh my God, how much time do you have?
You got like
30, 40 minutes.
That's tough. I mean, any Justin Timberlake song, basically.
A song that I've always, this is a throw way the heck back, but every time I hear it, it affects me the same. Do you know that song The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics?
I don't.
If you get a
But
chance,
I'm
if y'all
sure-
don't know that song, it is just like, wasn't there that morning when my father passed away? You know this song?
I feel like I've heard that.
So
Yeah.
when, anyway, and I'm not gonna sing the whole thing, but it's just one of those songs that's really timeless
34
because
minutes.
it's talking about something that is so poignant. It was a huge pop hit, and it's so memorable and singable, but it really captures this incredible lyric. And I think more than anything, it just kills me. Like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pull the car over. Another one like that for me. This is hysterical, but that wrecks me is the Diamond Rio song. One More Day.
Oh yeah, his voice
It's incredible.
just makes you cry.
I
Sing
promise you, I could be.
anything, and
I could be at a comedy show. If the guy's like, I'm gonna sing a song for y'all. I'd be like tears. A minute later. Oh my God. I love that
Okay, I
song.
know mine. So and this is again combined with the voice, but "Go Rest High on the Mountain"
oh yeah.
with Vince Gill.
Get it.
Well, and knowing the story behind
Oh.
that song and about his brother and everything like that, just like
It's unbelievable. I can't not get emotional every
Yeah.
time I hear him sing
Yeah.
that song.
yeah.
And he can't either when he sings it.
Yep. Yeah, no joke. I have a bunch of those. And I love. I think for me, when I think of those kind of songs, I think of two things. I think of one, songs that make me feel something every time. So like every time it comes on the radio, that song is going to be like a situation. Be it like dancing, PYT, or Go Rest High on That Mountain. And then I also have songs where I'm like, I just couldn't have ever written that. Like you could have given me 100 years with the same chords, and I would never, and even the same subject matter. And I think one of those for me is Everybody Wants to Rule the World. You know that song? Everybody wants to.
Yes.
That's on Dunan. It's such a cool thing. There's a few of those for me that I'm like, man.
Do you ever like have a favorite song that you would love to have if you were in an intro of a movie? Like, is that weird? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, like PYT would be, where does it come from, baby? And move on, baby. Man, I have a bunch of those actually.
Yeah.
Or like The Ocean by Led Zeppelin. I would love to walk into that song. Could you imagine?
You should just do that on one of your Christmas shows.
Oh my gosh.
You have an
Yeah.
opportunity this Saturday.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Put it on the set list.
Yeah.
When you wrote Carry On San Vicente, okay. Is it completely different than how you've written the other albums?
Yeah, you know, I think one of the things that's been so much fun about co-writing so much in the last few years is so for me, you know, I'd written by myself for all this time, and you know, there were always a song or two on every album that would be co-writes, but there were always like those weird co-writes where, like with Ed, who I've done a lot of these records with, Ed Cash, who's a great writer and producer. Like I'd play him a song and he'd be like, all right, I love everything about that, but I would tweak the chorus. And I'd be like, well, then let's just tweak it together, and then that would be the co-write. So it was very rarely like I was sitting down with nothing with someone else going, let's create a song. Or like Gabe Dixon and I have done that a couple times, but a lot of times it was like I had a little thing I didn't know what to do with, and then somebody would come in. So it's very rare that I was doing what we do, where you sit with nothing, catch up, and then you write a song, you know?
Yeah.
I was doing that a lot by myself, and so for me, for years, you know, it was just me sitting down with the guitar doing a thing. Or sometimes piano, but most guitar. So when I wrote that was the first album that I kind of knew what I wanted. Other than my Christmas albums, that was kind of like the first album where I was like, you know, I love the Laurel Canyon in the 70s thing, the Crosby, Stills, Nash, Jackson Browne, you know, Eagles, all that stuff that was coming out of LA back then. I grew up on so much of that music. And I was like, you know, I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to make a record like that if I could. And so that was really fun because it was such a fixed target for me. So it was like when I was writing, if I started something that didn't feel like that, I just didn't write it. Because it was such a finite thing. It was like, again, like writing Christmas music, which we've laughed about. Like, you know, like you get done with writing a Christmas song and it's like, yeah, that's not it. You know what I mean? Or you know, you go, yeah,
Sadly, it's most of the time.
Yeah, it is, truly. Like, or you get done and you're like, yeah, that makes me feel like Christmas. And I don't want to explain it, it just says. And that was kind of what that album was. It was me trying to sort of do that. So I had a very fixed thing in my brain of what I was doing. So, you know, there weren't many songs that didn't make the album just because I ended up not finishing them. Because I'd be like, it's going the wrong way. I can feel it.
Yeah.
You know, and so the ones that did, I was like, yeah, this is where it needs to go. So it was different in that way, that it wasn't like, usually when I make a record, it can be anything from like a sweet little acoustic love song to like a kind of funky blue-eyed soul thing about whatever, and they all make the record. Where this was like, no, it needs to sort of work with me strumming like this, you know.
Just like that.
Yeah, holding the guitar apparently like this. It's an ovation. So,
okay.
Yeah. So that was different from other ones because, you know, again, there's a pretty fixed thing. If it didn't make it, it was shoot away. So you're dead to me.
So before we go to the people with their questions,
people
I have
have
a
questions?
few. The people have
This
questions.
is exciting.
Isn't it? First record you ever bought?
Mine was actually bought for me. I didn't pay for it. It was Celine Dion.
Oh man, can we please talk about how much you love Celine?
I love Celine Dion with a passion, extreme passion. I can't remember the name of it, but it was kind of like, it was more like a compilation of her biggest hits, but it wasn't a compilation. It wasn't called a compilation.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called, but I think I was in 4th or 5th grade, and I got this CD, and I wore it out. And that's when I could sing in her octave.
Oh my gosh, that is hysterical.
So.
I'm your angel!
Literally. Yep.
My first, so I kind of have, I'm old enough that I actually have two answers to this because I have a first tape.
Okay.
Which was Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, It Takes Two. And it do to make a thing alright. Then my first album that I ever bought with my money was Spin Doctors. Pocket Full of Kryptonite.
Yeah.
I still love that record.
What's a tape?
I'll draw it for you later. Yeah.
Favorite? No, wait. Balancing? No, that's not what I wanted.
Favorite balancing act.
Headsets.
Yeah, there we
Favorite
go.
way to balance things. I'm actually terrible at that, so I couldn't answer.
Yeah. Favorite Christmas gift that you got as a child? Most memorable or favorite, which is the same thing.
For sure, the N64. So when I was a kid, my grandparents did a big gift from Santa Claus, and we'd have to like sit in the middle of the room and close our eyes. And me and my brothers, they put us all together because this was a big deal, and we all got our big gift at the same time, and it was an N64.
What were the big games on that one?
Like you had like Donkey Kong, you had Mario Kart.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Mario Kart, yeah.
Mario
I
Party.
still play that.
Oh yeah.
Mario Party in my head every day, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I think there were kind of two. There was this game called Laser Tag when I was young, which was like, felt like years beyond itself. It like you wore this little thing, you actually had little,
yeah.
it would go diddle diddle. The other, honestly, was a drum set. I got a drum
Nice.
set when I was in like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And it was a big, like I walked out in the
Like a full set drums.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like just one, because you're so little, and that is physically a big thing. I mean, you're looking at it, whoa, and I was like behind it. But I remember that being like, we took it, it lived in the basement where I played it, and I played it all the time. That was big. I remember being like, this is awesome, playing along to Spin Doctors.
Right. Do you still play the drums?
I don't. Sadly, I don't. I mean, I will, like, when I'm playing a show and my drummer's done setting up I'll kind of mumbo jumbo. And he's always blown away by my skills.
So we're gonna go to the people now.
Let's go to the people.
Let's go to the people. Why?
Go to the people.
Why-
Can I just show
Yeah.
everybody that's watching?
I was gonna offer you a cookie.
Did you make these? Just
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, she did.
With Starbucks gave me the products to make.
Gosh, I'm gonna take it. That's happening later. Don't worry.
Happening later. Yeah. Take your goodie bag. It's like your goodie bag.
Oh, yeah.
From NSAI Coffee Break.
Oh my goodness.
I know,
Show
right?
you this position.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I feel like we weren't actually supposed to drink it, but I did drink it. So.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's contaminated.
It's Christmas blend.
Oh.
Went all out today.
That's why I felt more spirited today.
So that's why you feel the Christmas warmth.
Yeah.
Chuck Culbertson wants to know, I've heard songs with a verse with a really cool chord progression and clever lyrics, but the chorus is just a sentence repeated 2 or 3 times and lacks the same energy of the verse. It's almost like the writers spend time on the verse and throw together a hook for the chorus. Do co-writers have a veto rule to prevent that kind of thing?
That's a great question.
Mm.
Yeah. Props.
Chucky, thank you for that. Is it okay if we call you Chucky?
He said yes.
He said yes. Okay. Gosh, that's a hard question to just throw a blanket answer at, because it depends totally on, what the chorus sounds like. Because if it's like, baby, you a song, you make me want to roll my... like that's only a couple lines, and it was like the biggest country song of, a couple years ago. So it's hard to say. I always lean pro, or I always lean simple. I'm pro simplicity. Let people be able to digest a song. But I think every writer has the right to veto in the room. If they're not super comfortable with something, say, hey, I think we could strive for something a little better here, or maybe it has a little more meat on the bone. So yeah, I would say yes. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, hopefully in the right co-write, you always have the chance. I guess I'm speaking especially the veto thing, but I think, hopefully you're in a co-write where you can say, hey, this is not resonating. Which, speaking to your earlier question, is interesting, because sometimes you're wrong, and either your other co-writer or co-writers go, look, man, we really love this, and you have to learn all those little things of like going, you know what, sweet, I'm in, I'm still in, I trust y'all, let's keep moving forward.
Totally.
But that's tough.
What advice would you give to a new artist just starting out? Is there anything you always bring to co-writes? This is from Katie Ray.
Something you always bring to co-writes?
Mm-hmm. I guess that's really anything.
It's always good to have ideas, whether or not you end up using them or not. you just never know what the room is gonna have that day. Like there might be a title in the room that just, like we were saying, can just come out of the air. But if there's not, you also don't want to just sit there and stare at each other, unless it's someone that you're attracted to. And then you.
Hello.
Yeah, I think it's good to have, especially as a new writer, if you're writing with, I feel like I still am in this situation often where you're writing with a bigger writer and you want to just be prepared. So have some ideas. If you want to, you could have a verse and a melody or something like that. But I don't think that's necessary. It doesn't ever hurt. But
And I think that, artist part of that question, I think it's really important, especially today, to have like a artistic voice. Like, it doesn't do anybody any good if you're just like somebody else. And so I think, my encouragement would be that you spend time figuring out what it is that you want to say, but I'd say maybe especially how you say whatever those things are, from song to song.
That's a great point.
Having a voice that's unique and
so maybe do actually bring in a verse or a chorus so that person knows.
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of what
you do. Yeah. That's good.
Specifically for an artist,
Yeah.
Chad Maiden wants to know, what is the best way for a new writer to obtain an appointment with a professional writer to write up? What is your process when you go to write a new song, solo or co-write? Two different.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody's kind of at a different stage of writing up. I mean, for me, what it takes now is, just somebody hopefully agreeing to do it, which could mean that, the reason they would want to do it is if I had cuts with somebody else, or if you're at a different stage, those things that are going to get you to the next level, I think, are just all association. So like if you're going to ASCAP or BMI or CSEC, wherever you're signed, talk to those people. And like, for example, when I was first writing, I knew Nicole Gallion really well, and she's an amazing songwriter.
Right.
One of my really good friends. And just the fact of me telling people that I was friends with Nicole Gallion helped me get in there. And it wasn't like I was trying to use Nicole as a way to write with people. It's just that's how people work. And if they know that you're working with other writers that are established, let them know. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, as people say, we're the smallest small business, and you have to promote yourself. And don't make it feel fake or cheesy, but let people know that you're writing with other writers. And
I think Jordan is such a great example of this too. The cream does really rise to the top, and that I think if you really are good at it, it just people figure that out. Like I think Jordan's such a great example of that. Just seeing his career in the last year and a half, it's been so fun to watch him go from, writing, trying to get in rooms, and now it's like I kind of sometimes feel like it's the opposite. I feel like his calendar's so crazy because people now have written with him and know how good he is. They want to get back. So now it's, so I think, a lot of times you see people do that. I mean, Marin was like that more.
Totally.
A couple years ago, somebody sitting me in their office and going, I just really want you to write with Marin. She's great. Just let me play something for you. And now, I mean, she's nominated for 4 Grammys.
Right.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So that, it's usually if this town is small enough that I think if you really work hard at it and you're good, you tend to sort of climb that ladder, just because the nature of the town is like everybody writes with each other anyway. And Jordan may come in and go, man, I wrote with this guy the other day, and that happens
That's the
a
thing.
lot.
It's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
So to finish this out,
Yeah.
what are you looking forward to in 2017?
You go first.
Why? Okay, that's a good reason. Gosh, I'm looking forward to writing with Dave. Stop. And I feel like kind of throughout this year I was able to write with some artists, and like I really enjoy going out on the bus and writing with artists, and I've got some good friends who have kind of just signed record deals this last year that actually, like my buddy Russell Dickerson, he's going out with Thomas Rhett and Kelsey this next spring, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be kind of fun going out on the road and knowing all of them, like just getting to hang with those people. I feel like the longer you're in it, the more natural it just feels. and the more people you know, and it just makes it more fun. That's what I'm excited about.
What are you excited about? What are you pumped?
I am excited about a few things. I love writing with Jordan. I mean, we write a lot. That's always fun. And it's fun too. Well, yeah, just because he said that. It's really been fun because I feel like the longer we write together, we keep getting more and more people kind of writing as a third, and more and more artists, which is really fun. So that's I do always look forward to that. I think I'm putting out another record next year myself, artist-wise. So I'm
Sweet.
hoping to record that in the spring.
I'm looking forward to continuing to bug Dave to let me write for one of his records.
You know what's funny? Ed and I didn't even tell you this. Ed and I got together. The guys produced most of my records, and we maybe work on this new one together. And I was just laughing. I was like, that's the funniest thing about co-writing so much. My artist thing has become like my safe place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like the place that I can sort of go and go. Now no one can tell me no. So. But I am excited about that. And to Jordan's point, it has been fun. Kind of like I've been writing with more and more artists. We've been writing with a lot more artists, and I'm hoping to kind of keep doing that. It's just it's such a fun thing because it's realizing in those moments you're able to do the song and the artist sings it and they go, I love this, and you're like, okay, or like, no, let's do something else. So it
kind of just cuts out all the middle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear more from both of you, and thanks so much for joining me today. And where can people follow you? That wasn't.
No, I feel like
Okay, breath.
Yeah, I was waiting on it. I just sort of put it up there.
You can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Jordan K Reynolds. I just spelled the R in the air backwards.
That was a K, by the way.
That was a K.
Yeah.
Well, that was a capital R.
Anyway, and then I think my name on everything: Twitter, Instagram, even like.
What's your MySpace? That's
MySpace, my Facebook or my face. It's Dave Martin's Music. It's all there.
Oh, well, yeah. Go follow them. Go to NashvilleSongwriters.com for all the information. Become a member. Come by and see us.
Thank you for
Merry
having
Christmas.
us, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
So fun.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, Merry
Tongue tied
Christmas,
with all
everyone.
this coffee and sugar and bye.